Sender Launchpad Tabletop. Thank you for buying a Sender Launchpad Tabletop. A tabletop is a much safer way to learn to jump further from takeoff to a landing ramp. Tabletops can be used independently or linked together to create longer tabletops. If you are using the tabletop for drop-offs, we recommend using no less than 2 tabletops bolted together. We also recommend using a smaller ramp at the end of the drop to reduce the fall height during early attempts. When creating a drop or linking ramps together, you must assemble the tabletops as shown in the instructions with the legs down and secured by the spacer battens. In this short film, we will show you how to assemble your ramp. It should be possible to construct your ramp in under 45 minutes on your own. However, help from a friend may make this easier and faster. Your safety and security using this ramp is in part dependent on a good construction process, so please take your time and follow all the steps as shown. You need clear working space. Please protect work surfaces. Organise and lay your tools and components within reach. A tape measure and sharp pencil are essential bits of kit for completing this process accurately. Your ramp pack includes 2 side panels, 2 legs, 2 end plates cut at 24 degrees with 2 holes in each, 1 smaller middle plate with no cut at the end and no holes, 1 tabletop deck, 1 tabletop spacer batten, 2 slotted triangles, 4 hinges, 24 countersink hinge screws, 4 T-nuts, 8 panhead screws, 6 M10 countersink bolts, 23 by 5 by 50 torque screws, 8 by 4 by 30 screws, and 2 straps. You will need an impact driver or screwdriver with Posi 2 drill bit, a drill with a 3.5mm wood drill bit, an impact driver or screwdriver with a TX25 torque driver bit. A quick clamp is an extremely useful tool for an easy and accurate construction process, or you will need a friend to hold components, which is a little less accurate. First, take the tabletop surface and lay this on a protected work surface. This makes an excellent work platform. Lay the side panels, end plates and middle plate as shown. Please make sure the guidelines and the back face of the plywood sides are facing up. Please note that 2 of the end plates are cut at 24 degrees. These must be orientated as shown. The correct position for the plates, once they are stood on their ends, is to face inwards. Take 4 T-nuts and the panhead screws and place these in the holes at the ends of the side panels. The face with the guideline should be facing up. Please ensure the T-nuts are flush with the plywood, or you may have interface problems with bolt-on features at a later date. Using a partner to hold components, or better a quick clamp, turn the sides onto the long edge and turn one of the end plates over so it faces inwards. Adjust and tighten the clamp to hold the components in place. There are marker lines in the side panels showing the location of this end plate. Take time to ensure all faces are flush, especially the edges in contact with the ramp surface. Tighten the clamp to secure this position. Important: you will damage your ramp if you drive screws directly into the marker holes without making a pilot hole first with your drill. Drill through the side panels into the end grain of the plywood end plates. Be careful to drill a straight hole to avoid the drill bit or screws appearing out the sides of the plywood. Fix the side panel to the end plate with a 5x50 TX25 torque screw. Repeat on the other side. Remove the clamp. Now drill through the lower holes in the side panels and fix with 5x50 TX25 screws. Repeat this process at the other end of the table. Next, take the middle plate, which has no angle cut on the straight edge. Place this between the lines marked on the inside face of the side panels, with the curve edge facing up. Make sure this is flush, as shown. Use a clamp to secure the components, and then drill and fix the middle plate using 4 5x50 screws. Turn your structure over so that the hinge marker lines are facing you. Take one of the legs and place this beside the side panels so that the longest straight edge is nearest to the end of the tabletop. The hinge marker lines should now line up. Pull the two parts together with your hands, closing the gap. Take two hinges and place these between the lines. Take a sharp pencil and mark the centre point of the hinge fixing holes. Drive a countersink screw directly through the centre hole of the first hinge on top of the pencil mark. Drive a second screw into the centre hole of the same hinge on the opposing flange. It is essential that this second screw is placed a little bit behind the pencil mark, closer to the outer edge of the hinge. This will help close the plywood joint. Repeat this on the second hinge. Fill all the remaining fixing points with countersink screws. Rotate the structure and place the second leg opposite the first so the lines match. Follow the same process as before. Check the security and function of both legs by moving the hinges. Beware of trapping fingers in the joint. Next, take the slotted triangles and spacer batten with the Launchpad text. Place them on the ramp surface so the highest point of the triangle is to the outside and the mesh face is upwards. The smooth face is down. Take the spacer batten and line this up with the inside edge of the slot. Ensure the spacer batten does not cover the slot and is flush along the bottom edge. The function and strength of the legs is reliant upon the process being accurate. Use the 4x30 screws and fix the spacer batten to the triangle. Repeat on the opposite triangle. Next, we will attach the tabletop surface. Turn the structure over with the legs folded inside. Take the tabletop surface with the guidelines facing down and replace this on top of the side panels. Check the ends of the tabletop are flush with the ends of the structure. Take the two rectangular blocks of plywood, which are 18mm thick, and place these under the edge of the tabletop surface and flush with the outside face of the side panels as shown. Push the tabletop surface forwards or pull backwards until the face of the blocks is flush with the edge of the tabletop. Check the ends are flush for a second time. Use one of the blocks in the centre point to ensure the edge has not moved. If it has moved, repeat the process again using two blocks and checking the ends. You may need to repeat this process many times. A partner holding the tabletop surface will assist in preventing misalignment. Drill a straight hole through the centre drill mark on the tabletop surface into the end grain of the middle plate below. Secure this point with a 5x50 TX25 torque screw. Realign the tabletop surface so it is flush with the ends. And check to make sure the drill mark in the surface lines up with the side panel below. Drill a hole which matches the same angle as the end side panels as shown. Fix with a 5x50 torque screw. The guidelines below should help you see if the surface is drifting off the square, and the plywood block will help check the gap remains at 18mm along the full length of the edge. Repeat this process at the other end of this edge. Go to the next corner and manipulate the structure using your hands so that the end is flush with the end of the tabletop surface. Hold the structure and the tabletop in the optimum position and drill into the side panel, fixing again with a 5x50 screw. Repeat this at the final corner. Drill through all remaining marks carefully and fix with 5x50 screws. Finally, and very carefully, drill through the tabletop surface at the same angle as the end panels into the end grain of the plywood. It is very easy for the drill bit or screw to appear on the inside or outside face during this process if the angle is wrong. Repeat at the other end and fix both points with the 5x50 screws. Go around all the screws and drive them flush into the surface. Turn the finished tabletop over and inspect all fixings and hinge points for security. With the legs open and pointing upwards, take the spacer batten with the text facing away from the ramp and the long points facing down and lift this up, placing and sliding the spacer batten towards the slots in the legs. You must never force this process as you may damage the legs and spacer batten. Once vertically above the slots in the legs, push and slide the spacer batten downwards with equal pressure at both ends. The battens should seat snugly into place as demonstrated. Turn your table over and take the rectangular plywood blocks. You can use 2 of the countersink M10 bolts to store these blocks when not in use. These blocks are for joining 2 tabletops together in the middle. Please note that the legs only need to be down and secured with the spacer batten if you are using 2 tabletops together or you have created a drop-off. When you are joining a take-off ramp and landing ramp with 1 tabletop, the legs must be stowed using the strap provided. The method shown ensures the tabletop surface does not have a strap across it when in use. For transportation and storage, and to keep all components together, you should use the 2 straps provided and follow the quick and simple method shown in this film using the slots provided. Your assembly is now complete, and you can now connect your tabletop to a ramp using the countersink M10x40 bolts provided. These are placed through the holes in the end panels of the tabletop into the back plate of the 500 or 650 ramps, which have T-nuts already in place. We advise lubricating T-nuts and bolt threads regularly with copper grease or silicone spray to make fixation easier and to slow deterioration of the fixings. Always make sure these bolts are tight before use. Assembling ramps and tabletops is safer, quicker and more accurate with 2 people. Beware when lifting or moving a joined set of ramps, not to stress the joins. Use 4 or more people when moving a full setup. Please note you will need to purchase 650 legs if you want to reuse the tabletops on these bigger ramps. The 650 legs can remain attached to the tabletop and strapped in place when not in use, giving you maximum flexibility. Ramps, tabletops and features should always be unfolded by an adult, especially for young children, to avoid finger entrapment in the hinged join. Parental control and judgment is essential when learning to jump. Before heading out to jump, you should always check the security of all fixings and inspect the ramp for damage that may compromise its strength. We recommend treating your ramp with preservative before use and at least annually. The ramp should not be left outside and should be stored dry inside. For maximum fun and safety and enjoyment, please wear a helmet, preferably a full face helmet and at least knee pads, elbow pads and gloves. Placing the ramps on grass will provide a softer impact surface, and a partner or spectator will look after you if a jump goes wrong and you need help. Make sure the ramp is suitably located for your ability level. It should always be placed on an even surface with all points in contact with the ground. Always work up ramp sizes, gaining confidence before attempting bigger ramps, bigger air, or bigger gap jumps. We always recommend using a tabletop to fill the gap, which makes transfers from takeoff ramp to landing ramp safer.